Welcome to Fly on the Wall podcast. I'm your host, Chris Sonksen, CEO and founder of Church Boom. Here you get to sit in on a live coaching session as I coach pastors through the ministry challenges we all face. If you find this podcast helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hey, thanks for joining us today on Fly on the Wall podcast with my buddy Rob. We're going to be talking about how to get your leaders to lead better. And really, isn't that the secret to everything? If your leaders are leading better, then the church is going to move forward faster and accomplish more. So it's got a great coaching conversation. Before we jump into it, make sure to check out churchboom.org. If you've ever thought about being a coach, we have a coaching certification program for you. You can sign up for that, become a coach. We will help you on figuring out how to coach and possibly become a second chapter for your life, or maybe a second income for your life. You will absolutely love the program. It is pastors coaching pastors. So check out churchboom.org. And if you ever thought about being a coach, sign up to be part of our coaching certification program. Let's jump into today's conversation. I think you're going to love this one. So good to have you on here, man. Let's jump into it, Rob. How can I serve you today, and what's on your mind?
Well, good. Well, our church is growing, and we've kind of got to that point where we can't rely on, our staff doesn't have any margin anymore.
Yeah.
And, typically we've had a problem or something we need to do. Let's get one of them to do it for a little bit, try to hand it off, but we're out of margin. And so when we been looking at the leadership ladder, we've got to develop that next level of leaders below everybody. We've been pushing the who, not how type thing, and just recognizing leaders and putting them in those roles. And so I know, in talking with you and Bo a little bit, you guys have leadership circles where once you identify them, you start working with them. Can you just give me some of the practical? What do you do in those? How do you do them? Teaching? What do you, just content, programming time? Who does it? All that stuff.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So from leadership, you're talking about on the leadership ladder, the leadership circle level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think leadership circles are amazing. And anybody that's not doing them, man, it doesn't make any sense to me. I think they're the simplest way to foster leadership culture, and also to help identify how to raise people up or where they're really at. So in a leadership circle, it's an ongoing thing. There's never an end. And it's organic as well. So the basic thing would be, let's just pretend I'm the lead pastor of the church or whatever. Well, let me ask you that before we jump into it. Is your team doing it at all?
Nothing on a consistent basis. And that'll be a later question. We started doing something similar to that. Then we had people that wanted credentials and people that just wanted discipleship, and we needed to break it up. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. So what I would do is you get 5 or 6 people. Your group's going to be somewhere around 5 or 6, 7 at the most. You're going to figure out when they can meet. Hey, we can meet once a month. We can meet twice a month. We can meet at Starbucks. We can meet wherever. First, you kind of get that down. And then it really is pretty simple. If I was the leader of the group, I'd say, okay, guys, we're going to be going through this book. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to be going through this leadership book. Now, that's the key. Some people want, I got this book about psychology or whatever, or about, and it's not a devotional, although I love devotionals. It's not a devotional. It's about leadership, something to do with leadership.
Yeah.
And I might say, depending on how often we're meeting and how big the chapters are, I would say, hey, everybody, we're going to meet, on whatever day. Please have chapter 1 and 2 read, and we'll come together. So we come together and we dialogue about chapter 1. And it kind of has to find a rhythm to it. It's like that first one's a little awkward because everybody doesn't know what to do. They've never been in one. But you're just dialoguing, like, what did chapter 1 mean to you? What stood out to you? What was the highlight from chapter 1? Well, on page 10 it said this, page 23 it said this. Oh, wow, that was intense and made me think about whatever. So we talk about chapter 1. Then maybe we talk about chapter 2 for a little bit if it's 2 chapters. Let's say the whole thing lasts an hour or so. You're going to dialogue for about 40 minutes on chapter 1 and 2 or whatever. At the very end, with that last 20 minutes, it's the same 2 questions I've been asking for 18 years as I've been doing these. Is I look to every single person. What is the biggest thing you learned, and what are you going to do about it? Okay. That's it. 2 questions. What's the biggest thing you learned? What are you going to do about it? Now, Then you come back, chapter 3 and 4, and you do it again in chapter 5 and 6. Now, when you finish up the book, that's where it gets very organic. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is you might say you have 5 people, or say you had 5 people, but one of them hardly ever showed up. Mm-hmm. You might say, hey man, we're gonna thanks for being a part of it. You're awesome. Appreciate you. We're gonna now let someone else take your spot because we want to give them a chance. Mm-hmm. So okay, now we've cleaned up that. Maybe now you got the 5, and maybe you go through a second book together. Maybe all 5 of them were like, that was a mess. None of them, were ready. None of them showed up. Like, all right, guys, God bless. We move on to the next 5. Maybe of the 5, you find out that one of them in the process is like, man, this person asked better questions. They're high level, the way they think. Maybe I need to start apprenticing them. So now I'm apprenticing this person to be maybe a children's pastor or associate or wherever they might fit. So in the leadership circle, you're not apprenticing them to your certain department. You're just, think of it this way. You are sifting and sorting. Think of it also this way, because I love baseball. It is the minors. Yeah. We're not sure who we're going to pull up to the major. We're not sure if anybody on this team is going to go to the majors. But this is the minors. And so you have a lot of different ways that they could go, but it's not that complicated. You grab a leadership book, you go through it, you keep an eye on everybody, those that you think might be worthy of apprenticing, then you apprentice. But now at that leadership circle, I might have 5 people in my group, and I'm like, that person asks amazing questions. That person's high level. However, I think they have a passion for children. I'm not a children's pastor. I'm going to introduce them to the children's area. So they go from my circle to someone else's apprenticing. That's okay. But in the circle, it's just, man, we're just trying to sift and sort. Some people think that, man, because I had this happen several times, they'll say, man, I took 5 people through a book and they never even showed up. We're not even going to do a second book. Man, that was a waste. I'm like, no, actually it wasn't. Mm-hmm. Because now those 5 are not what you thought they were. Yeah. That's great. In the normal world, you would have probably put them into a point of leadership, got frustrated with them, and had to figure out how to get them out. Yeah. Now you don't have to do that because you figured out, man, they're not at all what I thought they were. So you win either way. You win if it's a good group. You win if it's a not so good group. You win if all 4 were lousy, but you got to apprentice one person up. Or maybe the 4 weren't all that into it or whatever. You would move the person up. So it's organic in which way it goes. You might do a second book with everybody and might not do a second book with everybody. You have to kind of make that decision at the end of that group, but you don't really lose. Yeah. You don't really lose. Now, the way I would do it if I have a staff, I'd probably do it with my top 5 staff members, or department leads, whatever. After you go through it with them, like, okay, guys, we went through the book together. Now go find 5 and you go do it. If 5 of them go out and do it again and you go do it again with the new 5, you got 30 people in leadership circles that fast. Yeah. So great. It's pretty powerful. I've been doing them for years and years and years. My personal coach talked to me about it years ago, and I've never stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, I do Bible studies with guys, but I've never really just done the leadership aspect of it. And how important is it for the lead pastor to do that?
I think it's important personally. Yeah. I do.
Start off,
yeah. I mean, I know lead pastors that have churches of 7, 8, 9, 10,000, and they're doing them. Okay. So because what you're doing is you're sifting and sorting as well, but that 5th level, which we didn't talk about today, that apprenticing level. Yeah. If I'm a worship pastor, I'm apprenticing people to be worship leaders. I'm apprenticing children's pastor because you don't want one children's pastor, you want 3. You don't want one worship leader, you want 3. Yeah. What are you apprenticing them to? Yeah. You're not apprenticing them to become you, but they might become your next board member. Yeah. They might become a high-level leader. If you're multi-site, they might become a campus pastor. I don't know what they're going to become, but you're going to start apprenticing and raising people up. So it's all in the leadership ladder on Church Boom University, but Yeah,
I love that. Is there any specific thing you're trying to get in them? I know when I was talking to Bo about it, I was kind of talking about some of the things we did and said, no, he said, really what I want them to know, I want to get our DNA. I'm not really worried about them learning the book of Isaiah,
Yep. Are you talking about at the circle level?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm just assuming uh, when you're working through them, I really wasn't sure what you called circles. I
Yeah.
was trying to figure all that out, and so just that when you're taking that one-on-one time with these people and investing in them, he was more about getting the culture and the DNA of the church and that kind of stuff in them and helping them to learn something because they have the potential of being
Oh
in lead
yeah,
roles in the church. Yeah,
for
more
sure.
than just some knowledge about like a Bible study or
Yeah.
discipleship
Well,
thing.
it's definitely about leadership in the leadership
Yeah, yeah,
portion. Stay on the subject of leadership. Let the books be about leadership. We're trying to see this is a leadership ladder, not a discipleship ladder. I think there's a lot of parallels,
yeah,
and I think both are very important. But we're
yeah,
really trying to see about that leadership, definitely on DNA and culture.
yeah,
Uh, I think on DNA and culture, it is less defined and more discovered.
yeah,
Meaning, boy, I really like this guy. I think he could be a high level leader. He clearly doesn't have our DNA, doesn't
mhm,
match our culture and values.
yeah,
Uh, so I think it's a little bit of it comes up organically, but more than that, it's you're looking for it to see if
yeah,
they even have that as
yeah,
you're thinking about moving them up.
yeah, yeah. That system and sorting really makes that clarifies that a whole lot.
Yep.
Um, are there so are there different levels of that, like where different people teach different ones? I guess you kind of answered a lot of my questions right off the bat.
That's all right.
Um, so like I was thinking, like I know you've pushed these out to your staff members that are also doing these things with them.
Yeah.
Um, and I just didn't know if there were different tracks, like one's a leadership track, one's a disciple track, maybe one's going to be a ministry track, people that you've identified. Do you ever do it that way, or just it's still kind of all discovery and then you push them into those areas?
When you say track, you mean in the leadership circles? Are we putting him on a ministry track in the circle? Is that what you're meaning? I just want
That's
to make
what
sure
I
I'm
guess
understanding.
I'm asking. Yeah, do you have different types of circles or
No,
different? Okay,
they're
so
always leadership
okay,
for me
yeah,
because it is very focused on what we're looking for.
yeah,
It's we're looking to raise people up because we want a very deep
yeah,
bench.
yeah,
Again, look,
yeah,
those that want to go multi-site, those that want to add additional services, it's all
yeah,
about. You can't just have one worship leader. I always
yeah,
say this. I always say that most churches are one pneumonia away from a disaster.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, like, hey, the worship leader got pneumonia. Now what are you going to do?
yeah,
Because we never took the time to apprentice
yeah,
or we never took the time to raise people up. So leadership circles is sifting and sorting, but I always say you should be apprenticing, and you can find that out again on Church Boom
yeah,
University,
no,
the
yeah,
leadership ladder. 1 to 2 leaders per year.
yeah,
So again, you're raising people up to do what you do
yeah.
at the level you do it at, children's, youth, whatever, worship, all of it.
How do you blend that with the speed of engagement? Like knowing them well enough to start getting them involved in something. You
Oh
know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like typically most churches, you got to be there for 6 months to be a member, or you got to whatever. I mean, how quick do you understand what I'm saying?
on the speed of engagement.
Well,
Get
speed of engagement, you want to get involved as quick as possible. And I know
yeah,
there's jobs they can do second, third week they're there. But
yeah,
if you're going to throw them into one of these things, you know, how
yeah.
quick do you do that? I guess is
Oh,
what.
I on the circles, I wouldn't be
Yeah,
put. I
yeah,
wouldn't put them in that quick.
yeah,
I want to see them around for a while because I'm spending time. I mean, I'm giving
yeah,
some very precious time to them, and I want to make sure that I have a chance that there's something here,
yeah,
and that they really like the church and they really want to be a part of it. Yeah, speed of engagement. If someone comes and they've been there 6 weeks, it's like, dude, yeah, be a greeter and stand here and greet people. Like, yeah, go for it. I love
yeah,
that. Get them
yeah,
involved in the life of the church. That's cool.
yeah,
But yeah, circles and anything like that, it's definitely. I don't know if there's a specific time frame on it.
okay,
It's more of like some time has gone by, and I'm like, man, these guys are just a little bit different. I don't think you're risking a lot in the circle, but I do want to be cautious of my time. I don't think you're risking a lot.
yeah, yeah,
That's like, what are they going to do? So let's say it's like they weren't as Christian as I thought, and they were kind of a little different. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I don't think there's huge risk in it, but you don't want it to be this odd situation in a circle that you're now committed to for the next 6 months.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I've
don't want
heard you
that.
talk about you give them a task and they do a task and
Yeah,
they're good at that, and then you kind of give them a project, see if they can grab a team around them.
yeah,
And so I assume a lot of that is before you would ever put them in one of these circles. Then,
yeah.
yeah,
Typically,
yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
There's no hard, fast rule, but typically, yes.
Well, I've heard you always talk about pushing decisions, making down to the lowest level.
Yeah.
I love that idea. How do you help your staff to get that into them and to do that? You know
Decision making?
And just any tips? No, just to keep what I'm pushing it down to them, and they've got to push it on down the line. Just some tips to help them learn to let go of stuff
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of teaching and understanding that has to happen for them to know why it's so important. So, for instance, as an example, you've probably, maybe you have, maybe you haven't heard me talk about mission critical.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so most staff members, if they've never heard of it or they've heard the phrase, but they don't really understand what that means. And so if I was talking to your team right now, I'd say, hey, guys, as the church grows and as you grow in your leadership, you can't keep operating at this level and go to the next level. It's like climbing a flight of stairs. Mm-hmm. You got to leave the stair you're on if you want to go to the next level. There's no other way to do it. You can't keep your foot on one stair and think you're going to go higher. You're not going to go any higher. You got to be willing to leave where you're at. Well, now, in order for you to leave where you're at and go to a higher level, you got to start spending time on this, meaning you got to get other people to start doing this. Mm-hmm. If you say, man, and you can't make that leap, you can't do that. And I would tell the staff this is the best it'll ever get for you.
Yeah.
Never going to get better for you.
Mm-hmm.
Never going to get higher level leader. I don't see God entrusting you with, I'm not God, but I don't see God entrusting you with you more because you're not willing to move up to that next level. You haven't learned to do that. So this is the best it's ever going to get for you. And I think when they feel that tension, and I think that's an important thing, people need to feel that tension of like, I don't want to stay at this level. I don't want to be here. And that's, when I teach a team, I was just yesterday at a different state, different area, and I taught a team about taking that next step. I said, you can't stay here. Mm-hmm. You have to keep going up. That means you got to grow and you got to give away authority. You got to empower people. There's so many other things you have to start learning to do. I think most of the time, Rob, we're very guilty of raising up really wonderful doers.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And we don't raise up leaders.
Yeah.
And there is a statement I've made for many, many years to many, many team members. I did not hire you to go do that. I hired you to raise up teams to go do that.
Yeah.
I don't need you running
the game, right?
Yeah. I don't need you running to Costco to pick up snacks for kids on Sundays. Like, get someone else to do that. Oh, I need you doing this. And when they start to realize that, I think that's part of teaching and part of creating a culture.
Yeah.
And then I think you also have to get very specific. So, okay, children's person, in a perfect world, let's talk about the kind of leadership positions you could create. What could you create? A person over all events, overall communication, over all that? Okay, yeah. Then let's raise leaders up to that, and then let's give them that authority. I think for them to change the trajectory of moving up, they have to start establishing what new structure could possibly look like.
Yeah.
Because the form will dictate the function. Yeah. Once you start creating a different form, like what if it looked like this? Then you can start functioning different. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but that is a key part, Rob. They have to start functioning as leaders that are developing leaders that are not leading followers, they're leading leaders.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think it's hard for them to trust sometimes to give it away. And
it is.
Something we're working through. And we're actually doing a staff retreat this weekend, and we're doing mission critical exercise first thing. So it'll be fun. So
yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I've really enjoyed the podcast and learned a lot, and I'm excited about being part of what's going on. So.
Well, Rob, we're here to help, man. That's what Church Boom's all about. Just wanting to help you, wanting to grow. Man, anything I can ever do for you, just let me know. Always here to serve, man. Yeah. Awesome. Hey, great talking with you. Thanks for being on today, buddy.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good day. Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast today with my good buddy, Rob. I want to remind you to check out Church churchboom.org. If you ever thought about being a coach, now's the time. We've got an incredible online digital program called Church Boom Coaching Certification. You can find that at churchboom.org. It can help you create a second income for your life, a second chapter for your life. You will absolutely love the coaching certification program. So make sure to check that out. And thanks so much for stopping by today on the Fly on the Wall podcast, and we will see you next time.